Former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis had such a bad take on the Respect for Marriage Act, which of course got signed into law by President Joe Biden. And she, number one, hates the idea that interracial marriage and same-sex marriage will be protected in tandem, and thinks that that's a horrible act by the Democrats to try to link the two things and that they're nothing alike and all this. So that you'll hear her say that. But then also at the end, she says that essentially, if we go on and let same-sex couples get married, next thing you know, they're going to be pushing for minors to be able to get married to adults. Take a look at this.
Of course he did. And even the Respect for Marriage Act itself, which I call the Disrespect for Marriage Act, actually talks about both same-sex marriage and protecting interracial marriage. It's purposefully done by the Democratic-led Congress to try to equate the two. Traditional marriage is only about the difference between genders. We are one race, the human race. There has never been, under a traditional marriage construct, the idea that race or skin color matters. It is all about a man.
That is so incorrect. Under traditional marriage advocacy, there absolutely has been people who believe, and the common accepted belief for a long time being, that people of two different races could not get married. So it's deeply incorrect, but okay.
And a woman biologically. And so to equate...
It never should have been that, but that's what it was under, again, traditional marriage advocacy.
The two is purposefully saying that you are a bigot and you are a racist if you in any way object to redefining marriage. This is all about advancing the LGBT agenda to say that we can redefine gender however we want, we can redefine human sexuality however we want. Right. And I bet you further down the road, Justice Kagan is going to ask an advocate one day, what's the problem between an adult and a minor wanting to get married? That's where we're headed as this country. Of course
So, of course, she has to connect it back to they're coming after your kids again, because that's always now the way that the LGBTQ community is attacked. But think about this. You know what? Let's just set aside completely, for the sake of this argument, the fact that it's the conservative movement. It's been Republican states trying to hold on to the idea. I know not anymore, hopefully commonly accepted among the Republican population, but for the longest time, and much longer than Democrats, it was Republicans pushing for minors to be able to get married to adults. We know that, right? Yes, it was. As long as the parent signs off, then they can get married really, really young. It was liberals who strayed away from that much earlier. Okay, setting that aside, the idea that a movement, the progressive movement, that centers so much of their advocacy and goals around the idea that consent matters deeply. We even get made fun of from Republicans a lot of times, and conservatives, like, oh, you obsess consent, like it's all that matters, in a way to say that even if people get consent, there's all these bad ways to have sex and stuff. Matt Walsh was saying they pretend like consent's the only thing that matters, and there's other things that make sex more than just unconsensual sex, was his argument. And so we almost get made fun of for how much we focus on the idea of consent. And so if you accept that that's a key part of our belief system, then why we would ever push for a situation where a child is in a marriage when a child can't give informed consent to do so is wild, and it's dishonest. Not to mention, it's just the slipperiest slope argument I've ever heard in my life. And again, it's attempting to further frame the LGBTQ community as a community and the liberal backing behind that community as one that is coming for your kids, that next thing you know is going to be trying to marry your underage child. It's horrible. It's not accurate. And it actually doesn't provide any substantive argument for why it's damaging, why it's bad to allow people who love each other, even if they're of the same sex, to get married and express that love through the legal commitment that is marriage. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get a full extra show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there's a link in the description.